Look at this visualization representing 1.4 billion adults worldwide carrying a condition slowly altering their internal plumbing. As the units fade out here, you see the crisis scale. Nearly half have no idea it's there. We are wired to react to pain. If you touch a hot stove, your body immediately screams for help and your hand pulls away. That sudden shock is an essential data collection system. It forces your attention onto an immediate threat so you can survive it. High blood pressure bypasses that system entirely. It causes systemic harm while generating zero sensory output. You can carry it for decades without a cough, a fever, or a sharp ache. It works in absolute silence. Consider a man named David. He's 48 years old, he goes to work, he laughs with his friends, and he sleeps soundly. He hasn't seen a doctor in years because he feels perfectly healthy. But David eats heavily salted, processed food, making his body hold on to extra water. He sits at a desk all day and deals with chronic stress. Quietly, year by year, that extra fluid pushes harder through his vessels. His numbers crept past 140/90, yet he feels exactly like he did at 30. Trusting how we feel as the sole metric for our health is a trap. Because we expect dangerous things to hurt, we give this silent condition the cover it needs to thrive. This diagram illustrates what baseline blood pressure actually is. Every time your heart squeezes, it forces blood against the walls of your arteries. That outward push is your active pressure. When the heart relaxes between beats, the pressure drops. A healthy reading is simply a strong push followed by a gentle rest. When the force inside those vessels stays high day after day, the gentle push becomes a relentless hammering. The inner lining of your blood vessels is a fragile layer just one cell thick, and this constant turbulence starts stripping and tearing at that delicate tissue. Your body detects those microscopic injuries and sends in immune cells to repair the damage. It patches the walls by thickening and stiffening them. The once elastic artery becomes a rigid pipe, and its internal pathway gets narrower. Forcing the same amount of blood through a stiffer, narrower space requires even more effort. Because it is harder for the blood to flow, the internal pressure climbs even higher. That higher pressure creates more injury, which leads to more rigid scar tissue. The body's natural attempt to heal those tiny internal wounds creates a lethal feedback loop that accelerates its own destruction. In this schematic, you can see how that rigid piping affects the pump. Your heart now has to work twice as hard against the resistance of those stiffened arteries. Just like any muscle under strain, the heart walls grow thick and bulky. Over time, the muscle becomes inefficient, shrinking the amount of blood it can hold and eventually wearing out. Now look at the brain. It demands a massive, steady supply of oxygen delivered through thousands of microscopic vessels. When continuous, high-pressure fluid pounds against these fragile networks, the walls can weaken until a junction finally gives way, bleeding into the surrounding tissue and causing an immediate stroke. There is also a slower threat taking place. Decades of sustained pressure quietly chip away at the tiniest capillaries. Year after year, slightly less blood reaches specific regions of the brain. Eventually, this hidden erosion reveals itself as cognitive decline and a higher risk of dementia. Further down the line are the kidneys. These organs are packed with millions of microscopic vessels designed to filter your blood and maintain your fluid balance. Because they are exquisitely sensitive, the relentless force of high pressure rips into those tiny filters, leaving them heavily scarred. This triggers another cycle. As the kidneys sustain damage, they lose their ability to filter out excess fluid. That extra fluid stays trapped in your bloodstream, driving your blood pressure up even further and destroying the surviving kidney filters. You can even spot this process in the eyes. By looking at the retina, a doctor can see strained and bleeding vessels, offering a real-time visual preview of the systemic deterioration happening everywhere else. The heart, the brain, the kidneys, and the eyes. All four of these vital organ systems are being dismantled simultaneously. And because every bit of this damage occurs below the threshold of human sensation, you will likely feel completely fine while it happens. This graphic shows the reality of the disease. When we take the entire global population suffering from hypertension, the number shrinks down to just 23% who have actually brought it under medical control. We fall into this trap because our biology has wired us to only seek help when something hurts. Without physical discomfort, we assume there is no problem to solve. The silence is what makes this condition fatal. It acts as a shield for the mechanical pressure, allowing the demolition of vital organs to proceed entirely unchecked by our survival instincts. To protect ourselves, we have to manufacture an external alarm. A standard blood pressure cuff acts as an artificial replacement for our missing biological warning signals. It detects the rising turbulence that our nerves simply cannot. Taking a few minutes to check those numbers strips the condition of its secrecy. You can't feel the internal damage, but you can track the data. Catching that information early provides the one tool you need to change the story before the damage is done.